Look, Band of Brothers is filled with leadership lessons from both what to do and what not to do. Today, I want to do something special for you, and I want to reveal to you 3 things that Captain Sobel did that cost him to lose Easy Company. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to Inconic Influence, the world's first adventure-based leadership podcast that's going to give you the tactics and the strategy needed to build a mission-effective team. I'm your host, Adam F. Jones, former Army captain, company commander, and Black Hawk pilot, and I'm going to give you some gold lessons on what not to do so that you don't lose your influence with the people closest to you.
We're in the wrong position. We're in the wrong position.
We're textbook position for ambush, sir. I think we should sit tight and let the enemy team come into our killing zone.
They're right out there somewhere. Let's just get them.
Sir, we have perfect cover here.
Lieutenant, deploy your troops.
Second platoon! Move out! What? Tactical column!
Captain, you've just been killed, along with 95% of your company. Your outfit?
Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 506.
All right, so look, what we're seeing here is a leader that is not competent in an area where it's expected of him or her. Captain Sobel, as a company commander, as a captain, is expected to be phenomenal at land navigation. And I want you to think about that today. What do your people truly need from you? Sometimes when I work with other leaders, I'll ask them, hey, where do you need to be competent? There's a lot of things you can do, but where do you need to be competent? Where does your domain knowledge need to be strong and need to be consistently expanding? The company commander and the platoon leaders, they have to know what they're doing. And here's why. They have 40 plus people following them anywhere they say to go. And you're going to see, because Captain Sobel was not competent in an area that required him to be competent, he begins to lose influence of Easy Company. In other words, you can look at earlier episodes and you can see that, yeah, this guy's a jerk. Yeah, he's making it really hard for them. He's not really setting them up to win. It doesn't seem like he even wants them to win, unfortunately. And everyone's got their own leadership style, so maybe that's his style, right? But now we're seeing where it matters most, he is not prepared. Remember this, proper planning prevents poor performance. And he's not planning ahead to actually be good at what's required of him. Anyone can learn land navigation. He just doesn't understand what's being asked of him, and he's not doing what's required. I need you to ask yourself, just answer this one question. Where do my people need me to be most competent? Think about this for your home. Think about it for the workplace. Think about it for your unit. Where do you need to be competent? Now just pick one. Now what I want you to think about is, what skill can I develop that builds upon the other skills? All right, so as an aviator, I had to learn how to fly a helicopter, but I also had to learn how to navigate in the air. I also had to learn how to fly only instruments. These are all different progressions of skills. You're stacking your skills. What skill do you need to work on? Then I want you to do one more thing. What behavior is required? So if you think of just simply what skill and what behavior do I need to work on, it's simple now. You have one thing you're going to consistently build upon over the next year or so. Then you have another piece, which is just an action, a decision. An easy example is, maybe you just need to be more disciplined. Well, as Jocko Willink talks about, and I have him in an earlier episode, just wake up earlier. That's one great way to start building discipline, to imposing it on yourself. It's a behavior. It's a choice. Don't hit the snooze button. Working out 3 days a week, that's a choice. It's not a skill to develop. It's just a decision to make and then to follow through with. I want you to think about that so that you don't lose the influence that you have with your team, because I'm telling you, they're watching you. Let's go on to this next clip.
Private Christensen, you have disobeyed a direct order. You will fill your canteen and repeat all 12 miles of the march immediately.
Yes, sir.
Fall out!
What in the name of God are you doing with my company? You're late and you allow troopers to disobey direct orders?
No excuse, sir.
You're making me look bad, Lieutenant. This is not Dog Company. This is not Fox Company. This is Easy Company. And under my command, this will be the first and finest company in this regiment. I want the names of 6 men. Their infractions and your disciplinary recommendations on my desk by 0130. Is that clear?
What infraction, sir?
Find some.
So, what'd you do?
Picked 6 men and gave them latrine duty.
The lucky 6?
McDonald, Toy, Bacani, Lipton, Muck, and Garnier.
Why them?
It was their turn.
All right, so big mistake here that Captain Sobel made. Do you notice that he pulls Lieutenant Winters out from his platoon, puts him in front of his platoon, and reprimands him? This is something we never want to do as a leader. I've always heard that we want to give praise in public and criticize in private. Now, maybe it's not criticizing, maybe it's just calling out the fact that someone is drifting, which we talk about also in some earlier episodes, that look, drift is natural, we're all going to make mistakes, you got to call it out. And sometimes everyone needs to be there for it. But most of the time, you can pull that leader aside and have that conversation saying, look, I care about you so much. We call this compassionate candor. I care about you so much. I care about this team so much. I don't want to see you go down this road. I need you to build a better unit. I need you to build a stronger team because there are real risks ahead that we need to mitigate now. Like, that's an example of how you can approach this. But see, what Captain Sobel did is he actually reprimanded his leader in front of his platoon. Believe it or not, this happened to me as a young kid. I was a martial arts instructor. I was 16 years old or so, and I was put in front of my entire dojo, and I was criticized by my sensei when I was the instructor of that class because I showed up late a couple times over that past couple weeks due to other obligations in high school. And I remember that stuck with me to this day. I remember it, and I don't want to do it to anyone else. Think about this today. When you're with your team leaders, your squad leaders, your managers, your senior airmen, when you're with these different people, make sure you have the right conversations in the right place. All right, he didn't do that. And guess what? Sure, Winters listened. But guess what else happened? So did that platoon. And they began to see that this person is just trying to make us fail. And he just tore up our leader that we actually respect. What did that do? Started to create a lack of connection, and it broke his influence with his people. So what I want you to focus on right now is connection. All right, how do you connect deeper with your team instead of separating yourself? And that's what happened here. He separated himself, he reprimanded someone, and it was actually the leader of that team. What he should have done is close the gap and said, look, guys, you are not doing what's required. And that is on me as the company commander. So let's work on this together. I get it. This is an Army training environment, so he's going to be hard on them. But honestly, I think we can all learn that you have to close the gap. Again, we talked about this in earlier episodes, but I'm going to give it to you right now. When we close the gap, we recognize that there's a gap between us and our people, and that they see that gap, and that the leader must be the one to take the step and close it. And I just think if we would see this here, this could have been an opportunity for Captain Sobel to gain influence, but rather he lost it. So let's go on to this next clip. But before we do that, I just want to thank you for being here with me. Thank you for investing in yourself. I love seeing leaders who understand that what we have, we can give to others. So we have a responsibility to train and invest in ourselves. And also, it's just an honor to be able to be here for you and to give you this training. And I really want you to be a strong leader. So if you haven't yet, the one thing you could do to help me out, hit subscribe. That means we're going to reach some more people. And then share it with one of your battle buddies, someone that you're in the trenches with, whether you're military, veteran, or someone who just has that warrior spirit. I know there's someone like you that Share this with them so that they can learn these lessons too, and they can avoid this next time. All right, so let's go into our third and final clip here, and then I actually got a bonus right at the end. So I kind of got 4 clips for you, but I got 3 pitfalls, all right? So let's roll right now into the third clip.
Why is there a fence here? There should be no fence here.
Tipper!
Give me the map.
Picani, Luz, get the men. Get them. Take cover behind those trees.
All right, you heard the word. Let's go. Move it out, fellas. Move out.
All right, so I'm sure you're seeing a lot of things coming together here, right? We're seeing a lack of competence again. We're seeing a lack of connection to his soldiers. But now we're seeing one new element kind of exposing itself. It's the fact that Captain Sobel did not know how to communicate. He could only communicate when he was in a calm situation. Okay. In other words, if everything was fine, he's good. But when chaos comes, when a crisis comes, that's when he started to get cluttered. And honestly, a crisis reveals the character of a leader. I believe it's Dr. John C. Maxwell who talks about that. And to me, that always hit home. We've been hit with a lot of different levels of uncertainty and crisis in our life. I'm sure you have as well. So what are we doing about that? Are we speaking cluttered or clear? And what happened here is Captain Sobel continues to be cluttered. He's not competent with the map, with his land navigation. He's getting his people lost again. And by the way, they're keeping a tally. I promise you that. They're actually saying in the back of their head, I think this guy's going to get us killed. I think he's going to take us in the wrong location, and we're going to have to pay the price for his lack of competence in something that he has to get figured out. He's losing competence. He's losing connection. And now he has cluttered communication. Watch how when he got nervous, just think about this for a second. He got nervous. He's realizing he's lost. He starts to kind of sputter a couple words. He's not clear on what he's looking for. You can hear his frustration. So what do we need to do as leaders? Man, we got to stay calm in the chaos. We got to have decentralized command where we back up and we take a big picture look at everything else. Empower your people to continue running whatever mission is happening. But you got to step out for a second, take a breath, get control of your emotions, and be like, what is actually needed in this moment? Set your intention. Sometimes what can happen is you can get so pulled in by that one thing that it causes you to crash. In fact, there was this example that we learned in flight school of this plane that had nothing wrong with it, just a flashing light, and they kept staring at this light, and guess what they did? They crashed. The whole crew got fixated on this one thing, and they crashed the entire plane that had nothing wrong with it other than a blinking light. So what do? We back up, we do decentralized command, we look at the big picture, we get good at what's actually required of us, and we get to gain influence. See what he's doing? He's losing it. And the reason he's losing it, he's not being clear and he's not being deliberate with his communication. Instead of you saying a bunch of scattered words, say nothing. Give someone a timeline. Say, hey, I got to review what's going on. I'm going to get back to you guys in like 5 minutes. You can do that. But don't lose your influence by sounding so scattered. People don't need to know what's going on in your head, that the little hamster's running around. You could instead empower others to lead and then do what's required. And I just want you to focus on that phrase right there. Do what's required. You don't need to get this perfect. You just need to do what's required. Now, do you know why this is all happening? It all stems back to one thing. All of these, it's all about how Captain Sobel is perceived. He was so concerned with how people perceived him that he lost his power. He lost his influence. Go back and listen to some of these clips. You'll see that he told Winters, you're making me look bad. It wasn't making my company look bad. So think about this. Are you just leading the team, or are you on the team? Are you willing to take correction yourself and make this thing better so that everyone wins? Because guess what wasn't happening? Easy Company was not winning. Sometimes they did fantastic, but it wasn't because of Captain Sobel. It was despite Captain Sobel. Teams want to win. They weren't winning in the land nav piece, right? Why? Because their leader wasn't competent in what was required. So for us, help your team win, and they will follow you. But do it the right way, and you'll gain influence, and they'll stay with you. If you don't avoid these pitfalls, you will lose influence of the people closest to you. Your rank and your title will not hold it all together. And if you don't believe me, watch this final clip that we're going to close out with, and watch what happens when your team decides, we're not following you anymore, regardless of the consequences. And as you do that, let me give you the letter of the day for the KO code word. The letter is G, as in golf, G. Now go back and listen to the other episodes to get the full KO code word so far. We only got one episode left, and you will have everything it takes to unlock this rare training that is going to take you to a whole nother level as a leader. Captain Sobel did not have competence in the areas that were required. He chose not to connect with other people and to build deeper relationships with his team, which is absolutely required. And the third thing, he did not communicate clearly when it was needed most. Those three things, competence, connection, and communication, were weak within Captain Sobel. And that, along with many other reasons, is why he lost influence and he ended up losing Easy Company.
I can only speculate, sir. Most of the men would never do this. But I believe just a few of the sergeants may have felt their loyalty lay more to the platoon than to the company.
And these few sergeants convinced all of the other NCOs in your company to turn in their stripes?
As staff sergeants, they have a great amount of influence, sir. But as I say, the rest are good men. I know them. I can work with them.
This business of the winter's court-martial has been an unpleasant distraction.
Indeed it has, sir.
However, your command of Easy Company has been exemplary.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, except for the actions of a few of your non-coms, I believe you fielded one of the finest companies of soldiers I've ever seen.
Yes, sir.
Herbert, Division has established a parachute training school at Chilton Foley. The idea is for non-infantry types who are vital to the coming invasion, such as doctors and chaplains, to take jump training there. Frankly, I can't think of anyone more qualified to command such a school than you are.
Sir?
I'm reassigning you to Chilton Foley.
He had the title, he had the company, he could have had the influence, but these three pitfalls were his demise. And guess what? He lost Easy Company, and it broke his heart because it was by their choice. Your people will only allow you to lead them so far until they decide you're not going the direction we want to go, and you don't care about me. Let's remember that today as leaders. Do your people know that you care? If not, maybe it's time to have a conversation with them and to make sure that you don't allow these pitfalls to destroy you. Continue mission.